Have you ever died and been resurrected by a devil and woke up to find chainsaws coming out of your hands and face? Well, that's what happened one faithful day to Denji-kun. Some people say that Denji hunts devils now and squeezes boobies.
Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Chainsaw Man? If you haven't seen Chainsaw Man, outstretch your arm fully sideways with your thumb pointing up, ball up your fist, and then oh so gently tilt your fist until your knuckles are at a mathematically perfect 45-degree angle towards the floor. There, that is your punishment for not watching Chainsaw Man. If you haven't heard of Chainsaw Man, you might want to take your meds or touch some grass, because everyone I run into who is at least mid-female and wearing a My Hero Academia shirt while hanging out in the local comic book store on the weekends level into anime won't shut the fuck up about Chainsaw Man. Why? Because sometimes popular things are actually really fucking good. Like you, I avoided reading the manga for a year or so because too many people would tell me that I should. When I asked them why should I read it? What's good about Chainsaw Man? They would only sheepishly reply, it's just based. But Chainsaw Man isn't just based. Chainsaw Man is so red-pilled that it's going on InfoWars next week in a weird eyeless ski mask. Story. The plot in Chainsaw Man is expertly written, leaving breadcrumbs of intrigue and fascination within each episode, leading you through a world much like our own, if our own was infested with edgy Dark Souls bosses. It's got a little something for everyone, without being for no one. As they say, the stew with every flavor has no flavor. But Chainsaw Man is a buffet of several stews that have several different wonderful flavors, and you should try them all, and you will, or I will find you. There's comedy that will leave you in tears, action that will make you want to join your local high-frequency katana training gym, and tear-jerking sadness that will transport you to a distant, forlorn world of Beijing. The suspense and intrigue in this story are so well done that I guarantee you even the movie night Nostradamus in your friend group won't be able to guess what happens next until he breaks out his phone and Googles it like a faggot. Characters. The chemistry between the characters in Chainsaw Man are insanely well written, well voiced, and will sweep you up in their own respective stories and goals so goddamn seamlessly that you'll start to wonder what's real. Lately, we've seen a good percentage of anime with good writing and dynamics for its characters, and I couldn't be happier that red-blooded Moroccan men like me are finally able to quench our patrician tastes. You can tell in this anime that characters weren't all just thrown into the story because what if there was a girl who could get really big? What if this one guy could shoot bone spikes out of his skin? Wouldn't that be cool? There isn't a single Mary Sue or Ma-O-C that's detectable in Chainsaw Man, and I love it. This is a show where the roles of the characters, their dynamics between each other, and how they play into the plot was very obviously developed first, and then the characters were fleshed out around those cornerstones subsequently. This is what we in the industry call good writing, and I can't express in mortal three-dimensional words how overjoyed me and the boys are in Discord to finally see more things hitting the mean streets that are constructed in this way. Initially, I avoided Chainsaw Man mainly due to its popularity. I assumed it must be full of fetish-fueled OCs or overpowered boring isekai shit. This is because usually, when an anime gets popular, it's because stupid people, who make up 99% of the population of Earth, flock directly to dog shit like the Egyptian dung beetles they are. Luckily for me, I could not have been more wrong. Visuals. Though the trend of CG animation has sadly been going up lately with anime, ever since that new Guilty Gear sequel came out that had that amazing sort of stop-motion CG, animators seem to be taking a page from that book, and it is the opinion of this man that things have been vastly improving. Would you be willing to believe me if I told you that it's very difficult to tell throughout the majority of the show whether what you are looking at is CG or hand-drawn frame-by-frame animation? animation, because that is actually the case. The CG in this show is, for the most part, so closely modeled to the way hand-drawn animation has been done for the last 20 years in the anime industry, that unless you're planning on posting about it on Reddit later, you'll forget throughout most of the show that you aren't watching hand-drawn frame-by-frame animation. There is, of course, the occasional lighting error here or there, but the rest of the show and visuals are so great that I'm willing to give it a pass, and you will be too. The visual design of the devils in Chainsaw Man run the gambit from cute Nanachi chainsaw dog, all the way up to penis lady earthworm's Shin Megami Tensei creature. Each one is designed in a way that emits the exact feeling you should get when seeing them. Usually, that feeling is skin crawling, stomach churning, disgust, and fear. Fear of something you can see right in front of you, but can't quite totally comprehend. You see, every devil in this show is born of and empowered by humanity's collective fears. So the Chainsaw Devil is a cute little dog. The Tomato Devil, born of a strong and widespread but mostly antiquated fear, is a mini-boss. And the Gun Devil is a gigantic heap of metal that can fucking melt cities in the blink of an eye. What does the bad anime voice acting devil look like? Well, I'm sure we'll get to that later. It remains to be seen. Characters are designed in oddly trendy and modern ways. Denji and Power both wear fake-ass Jordans. And I'm pretty sure I noticed more than one character wearing Chinese counterfeit Chuck Taylors. Come on guys, you can get those at Payless. They're like $80. Some odd choices to be sure, but normal enough that they don't seem to be unfitting and strange enough to leave an impression. The lighting and post-effects in this show don't really stick out to me as anything incredible, but they also aren't terrible. Not everything in a production can be amazing, and if it was up to me, this is probably where I'd make most of my cuts too. Sound. Buckle up, boys, because this is going to be a long one. And if I told you that the English voice dub of Chainsaw Man was actually good, would you send me a gif of low tier God? Because I assure you, it's actually safe to go back into the water on this one. The Japanese voice acting is still good, of course, but if you're just a subby-wubby kinda boy, or if you, like me, are using watching anime to log hours into your Lingo Dear Japanese practice hours journal. But the English voice acting, with the rare exception of a throwaway side piece or two, is actually really, really fucking good. Unlike the incredibly phoned in and uninspired English voice acting we've all had to avoid for the past 15 years, you can finally feast your ears on what things used to be like back in my day, when Genion was a voice acting company. You can call me Crazy Hazen if you like, or if you're my dad, but I'd put this dub up there with the likes of legendary dubs like Cowboy Bebop, right above everything Funimation did prior to 2007. There is so much raw and real sounding emotion in these takes, particularly in the scene where Denji's group is weighing out the option of murdering him to escape an insanely powerful devil.
I know what you are!
It's so good, in fact, that I did a Warner Brothers style double take to make sure that it was actually produced by Crunchyroll, the same people who dookied High Guardian Spice right into our collective hands after years of complaints about their shitty autoplay system. Aki sounds like a kid who just turned 25 and hates 18-year-olds. Denji sounds like a stupid 16-year-old who grew up with no guidance and is the poster child of what no pussy does to a motherfucker. Makima sounds cold, calculating, and menacingly manipulative and powerful. The kind of person who knows exactly how to behave to get exactly what she wants from subordinates and superiors alike. Power sounds like a female cringe lord who unironically uses the word tis and thee in real life and also doesn't bathe or flush. And you know what? All of these characters talking together sound like people in the same room talking to each other. You know, the way it's fucking supposed to sound, instead of sounding like people miles away from each other on separate continents, recording takes with no one actually reading their lines for them to respond to. I truly can't believe I'm saying this, but whatever you did this time, Crunchyroll, Can we please get some more? It's also a good enough mix of voices and actors that you don't normally hear from constantly in every anime and JRPG made in the Milky Way that it comes off immediately as something new enough to be interesting, but familiar enough to transport you back to a time when English voice acting was palatable. This is the first and potentially last anime you'll hear me recommend the English dub for, so please, give it a chance. And if you don't like it, you can harass me in the comments. Go ahead, see what you can fit in that little comment box. I can take it. The score for Chainsaw Man is incredible. If you actually tune your ears in and listen past the action on screen, which may require a second viewing, you'll be able to pick out lots of interesting instrumentation choices, but it's never so present in the mix or discordant with what's actually going on that it ever stands out on its own too much. It's literally perfect. And speaking of interesting instrumentation, have you ever heard the drum and bass of Mindless Self-Indulgence? Underneath the jumpy electric guitars of Katamari Damacy, an electric church organ, and the distorted vocals of a male Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs? Prepare yourself for the Chainsaw Man opening. It will take you by surprise in the dead of night, just like you always wanted. But I digress. Perhaps the strangest thing about Chainsaw Man's music is that each episode gets its own unique ending song and animation. It's not just some random LSD-inspired nonsense either. These endings visually and audibly foreshadow things that will happen in the story and reveal little heart-wrenching details about the characters that may even clue you into things as micro as their hobbies, if you pay attention. Even the Foley is good. The sound of Denji's chainsaws put the smell of motor oil in my nostrils and make my hands feel numb, but there's also not a lot of unnecessary sound where it doesn't belong. There is a scene in this show where a woman with a devil contract surrenders her arms to gain enough power to save a friend. When her arms disappear, there's no stupid sci-fi or fantasy sound effects. They just fucking disappear. It really adds to the stark, ice-cold horror of this situation in the same way that the Spider-Man 2 scene of Doc Ock waking up in the hospital was enhanced immeasurably through the total removal of the score, letting the real terror stand out on its own, where you can feel like you're really there, really experiencing the horrible things happening right in front of your very eyes. This is what we in the industry call good sound design. There really isn't anything to criticize about the sound in Chainsaw Man much. It's genuinely as close to perfect as I think it can get, and I want more. In fact, I just want more Chainsaw Man. So much so that, like B&A, I'm considering reading the manga. The only overall gripes I have about the show are that there are times when it can get absolutely disgusting. There has been at least one scene so far during a work dinner that the characters all attend that almost literally made me throw up all over my desk. But still, those scenes are, believe it or not, necessary to the plot. Even if they seem like fetish fuel or a terrible prank, they expertly demonstrate the limits, flaws, and weaknesses of the characters in ways that are absolutely unforgettable. And trust me, I mean that. I give Chainsaw Man a 9 out of 10. The entire anime so far has been a joy to watch, and it is almost flawless. It's been a long time since I have anxiously awaited each week for more episodes of anything, and this is one show I can't wait for everything to come out first and then binge. I actually make time to watch this as it comes out, and you should too. And if you don't, I'll chainsaw you to death. This video graciously provided by the faithful followers at the Church of the Sun, who have, for some reason, stuck around for almost a year after the release of my last video. Seriously, it's okay if you forgot to unsubscribe. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not like we'll starve to death all alone in the European dark winter. If it's any consolation at all, the funds you've generously provided have gone into paying an actual editor to make these videos good, because I don't really like editing my own videos, and I don't really have the time. So if not for you, these videos, as well as future monthly ones I actually plan to produce now, wouldn't be here. So a heartfelt thank you to you. After this, I won't be back until after the holidays, so please have a great Kwanzaa, and don't let the Santa Clauses bite. And be sure to tell scary ghost stories from Christmases long, long ago in these upcoming 8 crazy nights. Till next time, happy Hanukkah.
God bless you.
Thank you.